Protests against the operations of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, or SARS as the unit is popularly called, continues to spread across the country as Nigerians insist on total reform of the police force. The continuing protests and the rate at which they are spreading is an obvious sign that the people are not satisfied with the president's overtures aimed at bringing the protests to an end. Following Monday's total lockdown of the city, youths in Lagos State troop out yet again in different areas to resume their protests. Again, many converge at the seat of government in Alausa, Ikeja, bearing placards, singing and dancing. They are later addressed by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who announces a 200 million naira fund for victims of police brutality in the state.
Your number one request for us was for me to release all the Protestants. So all the Protestants have been released.
Yes.
Without any condition. I have instructed my Ministry of Youth to have set up, and one of the things that I said to some of your leaders yesterday, I want the list of everybody that has had one fatal encounter with SARS or not. I want all their names in Lagos.
Yes.
If there's any fatal encounter with SARS in Lagos, I want all their names. I have some names. I want to be sure that I have all the names. I have set up a 200 million naira fund in which I will appoint some of your leaders. I will appoint some of your leaders.
No leader.
Monies.
No leader.
You don't want money?
No leader. No leader.
Okay.
No leader.
And staying in Lagos, it's a change of venue for protesters who had previously occupied the Lekki toll gate area as they move to Unikon in Lagos Island, where they present their petition to the police command. And the action continues in Oyo State as protesters gather in Agodi, just outside the governor's office complex in Ibadan, the state capital. Today, they are joined by the state deputy governor, Rauf Olainiyan, who was seen carrying a placard in solidarity with the protesters, indicating that he too was once a victim of police brutality. And in Akure, the Ondo state capital, the call is the same as protesters march on the major streets, singing songs for an end to police brutality. And for the first time since the protests began, youths in Enugu State in the southeast joined their counterparts in other parts of the country, demanding an end to police brutality. And just like their counterparts in Lagos, they take their protests to the government house. And then to the state police command to register their complaints, with the police providing protection for them. And from the southeast, protesters gather at Freedom Square in Ori, the Imo state capital, as they join the march against police brutality. And in the south-south, hundreds of protesters gather at the popular Globe on Wellington Bassey Way, Akwa Ibom State, where they insist that the state governor, Udom Emmanuel, should address them. Meanwhile, protesters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, defy a ban on the EndSARS march by Governor Nyesom Wike, daring to take their protest to the seat of power. Up north in Borno State, a coalition of interest groups is also out on the street. But this time, members are asking the federal government to reconsider the disbandment of SARS. According to them, while they appreciate the positions of other people in other parts of the country, the peculiar security situation in the northeast, especially regarding the fight against terror, requires that the special police unit be retained and made more effective. The protest walk terminates at the government house, where they were received by the deputy governor.
Our people have now said their view. We're going to relay that message to the president.
There's no telling when these protests will end, but judging by the way protesters across the country are adding to their demands daily, zeroing in on police brutality, it may not be anytime soon.
Meanwhile, today's protest in Alausa, Ikeja resulted in the traffic on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, making it difficult for vehicular movement. The protest brought vehicular movement to a standstill in some areas as motorists and commuters got trapped in the gridlock around Secretariat Ikeja.